must see. Get up on your feet, rise up.
Welcome to the Drexel Seymour Show. Today, this show is a little sad one for me, but we need answers. We need solutions. On March 4th, 2014, a prominent businessman by the name of Robert Been Sr. was murdered. And here we are in 2024, and that case is yet to be solved. He's left behind a family who wants answers, who needs answers. A family that is grieving, still grieving. A family that can't sleep at night. A family who may be wondering, are they under threat as well? And in this conversation, I also want to talk to about the police, the community. What more could we do to prevent another murder like this happening? In the Turks and Caicos Islands, we are faced with too many murders for the size of our population. And not only faced with too many murders, we're faced with too many murders that are not being resolved. We have a lot of cases that's not being closed. Why? And I don't understand why people think that they should murder somebody. They don't realize what they're doing to people's family. They may think they're getting rid of someone, but you're leaving behind scars, you're leaving behind grief, you're leaving behind family members who crying all the time, grieving all the time. It's so unfair to kill somebody. And what is even worse is when the murderer is loose, out there, and perhaps may kill somebody else. So I want to thank two of Mr. Been's boys who are here to talk about this. And ironically, today is his birthday, July 4th. Today is his birthday. I know it's his birthday, but we still want to do this in honor of him. I think he has a great memory, great legacy, and we need to know what's going on. And with that said, I would like for his two sons to introduce themselves to the public. And thank you for agreeing to be on the Drexel Seymour Show. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Seymour, for having me and my brother on this show. This show couldn't come at a better time. We are grateful to be here to answer any questions you might have or put towards us. To the general public, majority would know me. My name is Robert Been Jr., the deputy leader of the opposition party. And we are here basically looking for answers to discuss solutions and give recommendation, if possible, on how we can reduce the crime that we are facing in this small Turks and Caicos. It's happening too often. We hear of double murder, yes, as recent as last week. So we, as a people, as a country, have to step up and take this seriously at this point.
I thank you, Mr. Seymour. As the public know me as Jakey, but my real name is Roshawn Been, younger brother of Mr. Robert Been Jr., accountant, part-time entrepreneur. I thank you for having us here today.
Yes, and I'm grateful because I know that this is I'm not aware, maybe you are, but I'm not aware of you, the family, ever speaking publicly about the death of your dad. I don't remember that. I know you guys have your remembrance services, but I don't remember this being. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, each year we hold a service at the location where the incident was committed, which is the Commercial Plaza, our family Commercial Plaza, the Robbie Been Plaza, every March 4th. I don't think a year has went by without us having a candlelight service there. We did speak public on it during the initial stages, where we had also partnered up with Crime Stoppers.
Okay.
I don't think if the public could remember, during that time, Crime Stopper had offered an initial reward of $5,000, and the family came up with an additional $35,000. I think it was to make it a $40,000 reward for anybody that can assist with information leading to the capture of the person or individuals responsible for my father's murder. But of course, even that public approach in the parents, I don't think there was much feedback or anything was gathered because, again, the communication between the family and the police during that time wasn't as it should be. Most especially during that time when we didn't have so many murders, I would have expected a constant communication back and forth.
Right.
So it wasn't too much. I would tip my hat off to Crime Stoppers because we would have had lots of meetings. They would have done their part and, producing flyers, producing ads, trying to get that information out there for anybody to come up and assist.
Right.
So that would have been the only public interaction that we would have had. And I think the police would have done 1 or 2 press conferences right after that. And I think that was it just after that.
It just went quiet.
Yeah.
Wow. Before we get into the actual instance, I want us to go back to that day. Roshawn or Mr. Bean, tell us about your father. What kind of person was he?
Family man. Everything for him was about family. He was someone that basically didn't grow up with a mother or a father. His mother would have died when he was 6 years old. And would have been taken care of by his older siblings during that time. So he and his other brothers, of course, it was a big family. Just family. Everything was always about family. He ensured that we had the best. The best wasn't left out when it came to the summer vacations, when it came to the Christmas, when it came to educating us. He ensured that we had the same opportunities as any other family, whether he could afford it or not. He was the definition of a real father. I can, recall back in, I think it was 2004, 2005, when I would have went off to pursue my first degree. Didn't have a government scholarship during that time. That's when a majority of scholarship just was, handing out basically. And I didn't get one, or my sister at the time. So my father was stuck with 2 kids at the time. I can't leave my kids out. They are going to go and pursue college careers. And not just the 2 of us, all of them. Because at the time he had also have 2 other kids that needed to pursue
tertiary
college,
education.
As well. So he did everything in his powers to ensure that we went. And I can tell you, it was tough.
Big sacrifice.
He made it happen. Because the first time we decided to go to the embassy in the not in the US, sorry, in the Bahamas. Remember, you have to get the student visa and all of that stuff. And it's easier to get the student visa if you have evidence of a government scholarship or a scholarship from a big organization.
Financial backing.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the embassy was like, you would have to show you have X amount on your funds to cover the entire 4 years. So at first they didn't even grant us the visa. So my mom, as persistent as she was, continued, we are capable, we can get this done. And they said, well, at least show where you could actually clear the first 2 years. And honestly, at that time, he didn't even have access to it. I don't know where he found it, but in less than 24 hours, he produced that for the embassy, and me and my sister were off to school a month later.
Wow,
So
what an incredible father.
Yeah, family man, and he ensured each of us had the opportunity to pursue college careers.
God bless him. Roshawn, you have anything else you want to add about your dad?
I agree with everything he's saying. I would say that he was also a giver, a doer. So if he sees someone's in need, even if he doesn't have it, he tries his best to just help them get it, help them to even reach half their goal. So he is also a giver, a doer, a pusher.
Right. Wow. So
Definitely. Just to touch on what he said, and we can't leave that out. So it was also bigger than a family man, community man. And when Jakey says he would give his life to assist other people, and I believe Turks and Caicos, majority of the population can say whoever came in direct contact with him, hey, if they was down and out and they needed a bailout, nothing was too good to share with nobody. That was a relationship that I have known my uncles, all the uncles, and my father to display over the years.
Yeah.
Their house is open to the general public.
Mm.
They love to cook.
Oh,
So, so listen, if you short of food or you don't know where your next meal is,
Yep.
and up to the day you still can go down to my uncle's, Sammy house,
Uh-huh.
and I can guarantee a big pot of food is just
Yeah.
just waiting for anybody that
Mhm.
wants it.
Sounds
So
good.
they were, family, countrymen, real people that
Very
cared about
good.
the people around them. So, when that happened, I was lost for words. I was in disbelief because it just still didn't. Then
Yeah.
it didn't make no sense,
Yeah.
and now it don't make no
Right.
sense.
Right.
To take somebody like that young, that stage,
Yeah.
businessman, countryman, whatever issue it was, I'm pretty sure it could have been resolved.
Yes.
Different-
Yes. Murder
Mhm.
was not the
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
You know.
And shootings and those kind of incidents was nowhere as it is today in Turks and Caicos. So again, I'm just
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. I'm so sorry about the loss of your dad. And I see that I knew your dad, but every time I see that I've never seen him like mad or upset.
Mhm.
Always had a friendly, always smiling. Take us back. I know your dad was 47 years old
Yes.
when he was gunned down.
Yes.
Looked like it was multiple shots. Take us back to March 4th, 2014. Were you in the area? Tell
I was actually there.
you were there. Tell us.
Yeah. Wow.
You heard shots and then you ran downstairs. I mean,
Yeah, just give me 1 second. You take me back. I'm really in.
No.
Oh.
You're trying to get me a little emotional right now.
that's
But
okay,
So,
man. That's
let
okay.
him go first.
I would say, and not trying to sound cliche or any type of way, but that was the hardest day of my life.
Wow.
That night I can recall every second. I was actually, my brother was there at the store
Mm-hmm.
because at that time he was helping out working in the store, and I was about to leave to go to our home. And my father was there, we spoke, said, okay, see you later. I'll see you tomorrow, XYZ. And that was it. I went by a friend's house. I went to pick something up, and yeah, I got a text from my mom, and she said to call her now. I called her, and she was like, hey, there has been a shooting by the plaza, is what we call it,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Been Plaza, the plaza, and your dad is involved. So
Oh wow.
can you call Bobby, which is Robert Been Jr., to see what's going on? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, somebody tried to rob.
Mm-hmm.
My father is a licensed gun holder, XYZ, misfired, something casual. So I didn't think anything by it because, like, to piggyback what my brother said, like, he was that type of man where I never thought that anything, especially like that, could ever happen to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And
Especially the type of person he was.
Yeah. and I called my brother, and
That's okay, man. That's okay.
when I called my brother, just him answering the phone, the way how he answered,
Mm.
Just give it a minute.
Wow.
So you wasn't supposed to do this.
Wow. I'm sorry.
it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow. Reliving those memories. Mm.
Sorry. All right, let me get back in there.
Mhm.
My apologies. That was not a part of the plan.
There's no need to
We came
apologize.
here. I
Yeah.
said we can do this.
Yeah. There's
To be
no need.
honest.
No need to apologize.
Yeah. So on that day, something was different about that day. I must say, something was very, very different about that day.
Mhm.
So as my brother said, I worked the store during that time. So I had my own little business there at the same plaza. So for some reason, I ended up working the night shift. I was supposed to work the morning shift at the store. So
Oh.
I swapped with the girl that was working the day shift. So during that day, that following weekend, Monday was a holiday, public holiday. So I can recall my father said we need to get the generator sorted because we're gonna have a family, barbecue.
Get together.
Yeah, get together on the beach that day. So I met him at PTS Equipment that day. Never forget that day. We had dropped off his generator over there to get repaired. So of course we could have access to power once we go on the beach. So, so after we left there, he's calling me, I'm calling. So we were playing phone tag all day, and something was like, what's going on? So, like I said, something was very, very different. That wasn't normal that day. And anyway, of course, we spoke and always got back onto each other as we would miss each other call. Because I was, out of all his kids, I was like the closest one next to him. I think all the other kids would, say that as well. So anywhere he go, I go. We have that close bond, almost like a brotherly relationship. So that afternoon, leading up to that night, I could recall sitting in the window at the front of the plaza, right?
At the store or just?
Next to the store. Basically just sitting down on the outside, just relaxing. And I said to myself, man, I got to start hanging with my father even more now. Because, things during that time, was changing up. The focus need to get towards, back to business, building, expanding. And I said, I'll be a better asset to you. Because I always used to tell him, I think I'm ready to take over.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, no, you're not. One thing, he was grooming me from day one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that part later. So, and I'm just sitting there and saying, moving forward, every time he calls to meet him somewhere, I'll go. Because at that age, I was young myself too. I was still young. I'm still young, of course.
How old were you?
37. I'll be 38 this year.
No, I mean, so that means you're 20.
At that time, I was 27.
Oh, that's so young.
28 that year. So he was 47 and going to be 48 that year as well. So anyway, got back to the location because I'm on shift now. It's quite early.
Yeah.
So Jakey came there for a quick second. I had just handed Jakey some cash to get some fuel. But prior to that, my father had just came because it's beginning of the month. So what happens during that time, most tenants come to drop off their rent. Wasn't too much of everybody using the online banking as it is today. So he came to me and he's like, any tenants dropped off rent because he's about to go upstairs for the night. So I was like, oh, yeah. So I gave him, what was dropped off in an envelope. So, nodded his head, went upstairs. And shortly, a few minutes, me and a few other persons were there having a conversation, came back down. And I'm saying to myself, what you doing here? He said he was going on, but he didn't say nothing. He came to the store. I promise you, he didn't even say a word. He walked in the store, just looked at me, and nodded his head. That's one image could never be erased. Because that was actually the last eye contact and image me and him had. Looked at me, nodded his head, and walked off. I'm assuming he was already in for the night. That's how it works. Once he comes to collect, he's not coming back out for nobody. So he walks off and walks through, to go to his car because somebody wanted a ride home, which he had actually told that person, wait till I get off and I'll take him. But for some reason, that person, continued to insist that they wanted him to take him home. But anyway, the guy he is, fine. So it goes in the back, and I'm in the store at this time, and I heard like pop, 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 like more than 3 or 4. During this time,
like fireworks.
Yeah, it sounded like, the hotels,
fireworks.
Grace Bay. I'm assuming it's fireworks.
Yes, you didn't expect
no
gunshots in the area.
Yeah. Not only that, as today, we're not accustomed back then to even hearing gunshots randomly just like that.
Yeah, it's not common.
It's not common at all. So again, that was like a fireworks. I ignored it. And then just loads just started popping off even more after that. So I was like, all right, gotta be fireworks now. And the lady that he was with at the time came running running in the store. Ari, someone just shot your father. And I said, I run in the back. I mean, seconds while shots had just stopped. I didn't care at that point. Somebody said somebody shot my father.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to run to his rescue.
Yeah, yeah,
And at
absolutely.
the same time in my head, I'm saying, ain't nobody that stupid. I think she got it, reversed.
Yeah, yeah.
Either he probably did it because, of course, he was a licensed firearm holder, at the time. So I rushed straight to the car. I actually saw the man as it pulled off too. I rushed to the car to him, and he was, slumped back in the seat. And I ran from the car and ran straight to the hallway because I'm trying to see who's in this van now. So van actually turned left, heading towards the Seven Stars direction.
Yeah.
So ran back and went back to him, to check on him. And honestly, just by looking at him, I knew basically it was like no life there, he was gone. But, and this is another part that doesn't blank out. So I take him, right? Because he's, the car seat is this way, so he's laid back and he's leaning over the armrest.
Because he's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, the driver's seat. So I take his head to lift up his head to try to talk to him. And all of a sudden, blood just came straight out of his nose. So I was like, it can't be good. At that point, it can't be good. And I fell to the floor right there because, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure anybody think, blood coming out the nose just like that, it can't be good. And I dropped. I picked up the phone, called the police first. In fact, I called the police friend, who was a very dear friend to me. And I called him first, I think it was, because somebody else had already called the police. And called my mom right after that. She was actually in the U.S. at the time.
Yeah, just as me and him.
Yeah, so it's just us.
Oh,
Yeah, just
okay.
us.
That was the hard part.
Yeah, just us two.
And
So your mom called you from Florida?
No, she sent me a text and then I called her.
Oh,
And
because
that's when
I called her.
Yeah, so that's when she told me to call your brother
Yeah.
because she's hearing about your father being involved in, So I'm, like I said, I'm thinking, it's just a little robbery,
Right.
And like I said, once I
not
got
that magnitude.
I got on the phone with him, just from hearing the rage, the anger, and what he said, like my heart just like
something
what?
definitely.
Yeah.
So right after that, I called my uncle, Sammy, and I told him, he said, he's coming. So a few people, of course, trying to, started walking around, and I didn't want nobody to see him like that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, assume that it still was an opportunity, a chance, and I wasn't waiting on no ambulance. So, I'm trying to lift him.
So you called the ambulance?
Somebody else was trying to call the ambulance.
okay.
And I didn't have intention on waiting on no ambulance. So I was trying to lift him myself at first.
To take
to
in
put
your
him in
car?
a passenger seat.
The same car.
The same car.
Oh.
The same car.
Yeah.
So, it's not easy lifting in the glasses,
A
dead weight.
Yeah.
Couldn't move him. So I could recall, everybody standing, a few people standing around, and a guy was like, oh, he just moved. So I ran back and trying to talk, but, no words. So my sister, one of my sisters, Shaqua's, her uncle, happened to come around in the area during that same time. I guess he might have heard it too, because I think they lived in Jukasan at the time. And he was the one who actually assisted me in lifting him in the passenger seat. So once we got him in the passenger seat, I jumped in the driver's seat and I took off. And I drove straight to the hospital with him.
Yeah, and that's during the time when I gave him the call, and that's when he was like, hospital now, like, yeah.
And so you met him at the hospital?
Yeah, like, to be honest, like, as soon as I pulled around the emergency corner, that's when they just arrived, maybe within seconds.
Wow.
And so what time, that was like 8 o'clock?
That was around 8.
8 o'clock,
yeah. That was around 8 something. I want to say it was minutes to 8.
That's like 8:05.
Yeah,
like
so that's
time, like 8:05
Right.
p.m.
And then you say you saw the van, and then what about the police now? After you went to the hospital, you took, I guess they came out, put him on.
Yeah. So of course they would have came out,
And
take him there inside.
right.
But I could.
Police showed up at the hospital, or
I don't recall if police even was there when no, police wasn't even there when I pulled up.
No, police.
No, they wasn't even there when I pulled up yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's something that I know the department is overwhelmed today, but even back then it wasn't as it is now.
mm-hmm.
The time in getting at either location, they wasn't even there.
Wow.
They wasn't there when we contact them to say what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't there at the hospital.
Mm.
And even at the hospital, it didn't even look like the ambulance had even started to prep to move.
So the ambulance was still there.
The ambulance was still there.
Still parking.
So I made the right decision
Yeah.
to actually take him.
Yeah.
And just I pulled up, I remember, I guess it was probably one of the guys from the ambulance came to the car and he, checked him. And he didn't even want to, get the gurney to take him in because you probably already know he's not there. I was like, no, take him inside. We can take him inside.
Yeah, you still.
So we taking him inside.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't want because during that time, this is where crime like that don't happen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to certain individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the public is coming and everybody's coming. And like today, I'll get back to that night, but today it's so much people are getting numb to it. If you hear of a shooting, you don't even see the cars crowded at the hospital no more. Checking up on the family, acting out of concern. And I want to say to the people of Turks and Caicos, we need to get back in that state where, not saying we don't care about the situation, but we can't get numb to this. Like this is the norm.
We can't accept it. We shouldn't accept it.
We can't. This is nothing to accept. So, to go back there, so they went, back in the room, the ER.
Emergency room. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And like I said, less than 5 minutes, basically, the yard was full. Families was there. Everybody was there. And everybody was just waiting and hoping for the best.
Yeah. And then I guess the doctor came out, or what happened after? How long it took before they told you that your dad had gone?
Well, to my knowledge, what I remembered, my brother was he was out of it. His mind was all over the place.
State of shock.
I
couldn't believe it was happening.
I was clueless because, like I said, my father was that man. I never thought that anything, especially of that magnitude, would ever happen.
Yeah.
So me going to him asking my brother a question, couldn't even get a word because he's just yeah. And then so now I'm just clueless, like what's going on? How did this happen? Like I don't understand. So the doctors are moving back and forth. At one point, and I can recall, one doctor came and said, "We got a pulse." So I'm like, okay, this is working. Like we're gonna get something.
Good sign.
And then the next one, he went back down. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah.
So
wow.
it was a lot of a lot of things going on at the hospital.
Wow.
And sadly, at the end, we just got the worst news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at that age, this is, I'll say to the general public, most especially with our young man that's committing this, I would be lying if I said negative thoughts didn't come across my mind, where I just wanted revenge for what just happened to my father.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope the general public could appreciate that I am human.
Man, that's a natural feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can be a doctor, judge, lawyer, pastor in the church. When it hits that close, the only thing you're trying to say, who did this to mine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was. So when he made that comment, my mind was all over the place. That's where I was mixed up.
Yeah.
I need to go get something done now.
Mm-hmm.
Politics was nowhere on the radar at the time. Businesses, as mentioned, was nowhere near what it is today. And that's where I was. So the same, officer at the time, which was a, high-ranking officer, today I still tip my hats off to him because what a lot of people don't even actually know. He saw something that wasn't good about to come out of me that night. And that's when we went back to the apartment to check the surveillance because I was done, at the hospital. I was like, everything was caught on camera. You'll see what happened. But it was only one of those floodlights at the back. So the area where it happened was
too dark.
Yeah.
So you have a footage, but everything was black. The police department did send it overseas to try have the footage enhanced, but still kind of make out anything.
You can only do
it's
so
black.
much. You can only do so much.
It's black. So we're there sitting on the couch like we are right now. He's sitting over there. I'm sitting here. Police them doing their thing, looking to trying to see what they can identify. And he said to me, "No, Bobby, I got you. He's not gonna want that for you. I promise." No tears even coming up my eyes, because he said, "I got you. Don't worry about it. You got a lot you still have to live for. You don't want to get yourself caught up." He's like, "Trust me, I got you." He can't put his arms around me. And I'm saying in my head, how did he even see that? I didn't care at that time. Yeah. And I don't want, no, again, because people, politics, I have to say this because as you know, I'm running for office.
At that time. That was 10 years
we're talking
ago.
about at that time.
Yeah.
So my message is to young people and people that are involved. I promise you, I know how you feel. I've been there. In fact, I believe just about everybody in Turks and Caicos is being touched now.
Yeah. But that's not the answer. Do you want to tell them that's not the answer?
Yeah, that's not really the answer.
Yeah.
And today, where I'm at, where my brother's at, where my family at, I personally and honestly know my father wouldn't have wanted me to get caught up in something where all of his hard work, all of his efforts just went to waste.
Yeah.
So, and even today, like a day does not go by without me thinking about my father.
Wow.
You see, when somebody's life is taken like that, everybody say in time, it's been 10 years. It's not, that's a lie. Only thing happens is the tears stop. The pain eases up a bit. But the thought,
it doesn't go
that
away.
Memory, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
Not just once a day. Like every half hour, every hour. I could be out. I could be on an interview, like just a general interview. I could be on a platform at a rally. Facts. And I'm thinking about him. Just as recent as last night, I promise you, just had a dream with him. So what they did to me and my family, it did loads of damage.
That's what I'm saying.
We still have to live with this.
Yes.
Huh? This isn't something natural.
Yep.
And I can guarantee you, it couldn't have been something that serious where he felt his life was endangered. Because if he felt his life was in danger, he would have been armed that night.
Yep.
He wasn't even armed. With a licensed firearm, not armed, that means he doesn't even know his life is threatened.
Right.
And even if he did, he probably wouldn't even step out around those hours, the night hours or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So again, it's different ways to handle situations. And like sometimes, just like what happened, like I tell you that officer did, he pulled me in.
Yeah.
You got to give this some time now.
Yeah.
If you have to go overseas to get some help in continent, I'm backing you.
Yeah.
But you need some time away.
Yeah.
I didn't go. I stayed, here. I handled it, took time off. Everybody calling. I promise you, I probably didn't take calls for probably like a week or two.
Right.
Everybody grieves and deals with stuff different.
Yeah,
Everybody,
of course.
some people want to get the
Absolutely.
calls right away. I honestly,
Mhm.
and I don't want nobody to feel like, I was ignoring them. I just needed that time because where my mind was at.
Yeah.
And I don't know how my brother handled it. I don't know how my
And
mom
it probably
handled
still
it.
felt
I don't
unreal
know how
to you.
anybody handled it.
And it probably still felt unreal to you, even though
Yes.
you knew,
Yeah.
I just had to handle it my way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how are y'all doing now? I know you mentioned a day don't go by without thinking about him, but how's the family?
The family is great.
Yeah.
Everybody's great. Everybody is doing exactly what he wanted us to do.
Yeah.
Make him proud.
Yeah.
That was it. He basically said it's never about him. That's why I said like anything was never too good for us. He poured it all into us.
Yeah.
He poured it all into people he could help.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm trying to do is continue to build on his legacy.
Yeah.
Expand, do great things.
Yeah.
Help where I can help. And I've been doing it. So it's like from time he left, he didn't leave.
Yeah.
Because the same good deeds he was doing, I took over and started doing it, the same good deeds as well.
Right.
So, and this is, when you have fathers that truly, step up and are in their kid's life.
Yes.
It was a no-nonsense man to tell you that.
Yeah.
I can remember when I first got my driver's license, I used to drive to school, by the way, too, because I was 17 and my birthday is December 1st. So I was graduating that following year. And I was never afraid of if police saw me on the road speeding or whatever the case. You're young, just got a license, you speeding or whatever the case may be. So anyway, who person actually would fear and seeing me speeding, or to being him.
Your dad. Okay.
I can remember I was overtaking a car downtown,
Mm.
in the downtown era,
Right.
and he coming down the same time. I said, shoot, man, he got me. At that time, right, I
Yeah.
think I just graduated too after that. People at that age claim they're man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, scared as ever.
Yeah.
Police already see me give me ticket at that time, and I didn't even check it. And I said, all right, he ain't called my phone. Good, I made it. He probably didn't even notice me.
Mm.
And seconds later, that phone call came
Yeah.
in. That phone, I'm telling you, that dude was a no-nonsense man. I
Yeah.
love him. But
I think
it made me,
yeah,
it
he
made
was
me the
concerned
man I
with your
am.
safety, though. I think he's more or less concerned with just you don't
Yeah.
want to, get into any accidents and stuff too.
I mean, that's just that one part, but I'm speaking,
Yeah,
overall in general.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a no-nonsense man. Anything. Check me right away. Wasn't too old to be checked.
Not at all.
Wasn't too old to be checked.
Yeah.
I can tell you, probably up until his dad,
Yeah.
if he had to check me, he checked me.
Yeah.
And you know what? I listened.
Yeah. You got respect for your dad.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
listened.
Now, based on what happened to your dad and what is happening throughout the Turks and Caicos for the past couple of years, what do you think? I know you're going to politics as well, but what do you think some things that we could do to reduce the number of murders that are taking place? What do you think we need to do?
First off, I'll say this. It's been 10 years, as you said at the start of the show. For the last maybe 8 years, I don't even think I was contacted. I was not even contacted to say we have a lead or we're still working on it. Me personally,
Were you contacted the first 2 years?
Yeah, I would say maybe within the first year and a
Definitely
half.
the first year. Definitely.
And not often, not consistent. So it wasn't consistent. And as the murder continued to build up in TCI, the numbers, the files keep stacking on stacking.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, some might say I shouldn't say this, but I've already, programmed in my head. They probably haven't touched that file since 2015, 2016, and I doubt they can touch it today because there's so much recent murders that's ongoing that they are overwhelmed with files, murder cases that are going unsolved. And we, the general public, Turks and Caicos Islanders, we should not accept it.
No.
The UK is responsible. We need to hold them truly accountable. If they need to invest in a whole new department, I don't know if one is present there now to deal with these unsolved cases that stem even past my father's case. They need to just focus on those cases while these new cases are dealt with, which are currently active, cases being reviewed. So to get back to, your question, I always say this when I, go on other interviews. I'm not an expert as it relates to, solving crime. That's not my area. I hold a degree in criminal justice, by the way.
Oh,
But,
you do? Okay.
Yes, that was my first degree.
Okay.
So I would say deterrence is the first step, in my view. And how do you deter crime, as you see in bigger countries? Police presence. I have always spoken of it. We need to see more police patrol presence in all neighborhoods, all communities, actively up and down on the highway. Currently, we have a shortage of police patrol units. They might say we have a shortage of police officers as well. I think we have, if I'm correct, maybe about 300 and something active police officers. And out of that 300 and something, all of them are sharing maybe less than 10 vehicles presently, right? If we take the first initial step, I said this, like I said, over and over. Let's invest quickly in about a minimum 50 proper patrol vehicles. Have them in places just all over. As you know, you remember, that was always on both platforms I had. The mobile police unit. I always spoke of that. Like these hot spots, those mobile units could have been stationed in there, right? We have to make the criminals uncomfortable because we're not comfortable.
Yeah, they need to.
So let's make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, they need to be fearful. They need to be afraid of the police.
And they're not.
So
if you have 50 patrol units, and I like to use America for example because that's where the majority of population travels and go to, right? You go to America, the first thing you do when you get in a vehicle, you put your seatbelt on. You pass a patrol car, see a patrol car park, You ease up off that gas and start to find
I
that
know,
brakes
I
quickly.
know I do that.
No
Right?
matter
I don't wear my seatbelt in Turks, but I know
Yeah.
as soon as because I know they you know.
That's what
Before
I'm
you
But now
leave,
now I do it because they found me one day.
saying. They caught you.
I had to pay $250.
Wow.
I say not again.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go to the malls. You go to Chuck E. Cheese's. You
Gas
go to the night
stations.
clubs. You go to the gas station.
Mhm.
Guess what you see there? A patrol
Police.
unit, whether somebody's in it or not.
You know, Walmart, where most of us
Well,
go.
exactly.
Yep.
You know,
They're not there because they're on breaks. That's a deterrence program.
Mhm.
TCI police did it. I'll say it before they even respond to this, if they respond to this interview. When we had the ATM robberies a few years ago, I think at that time Miami Beach had donated about four black Explorers. I don't know if you can remember.
I do remember.
They didn't spray it yet. They sprayed them off. There was some used Explorers that Miami Beach had.
Okay.
So during the ATM robberies that were happening, what they did, they parked a black Ford Explorer police SUV in all banks' parking lot.
Mhm.
One was at RBC, one was at Scotia, and one was at First Caribbean Bank. You know what that did? It actually deterred and slowed down those robberies at the time. Nobody was in the vehicle, and no police were in the bank. But what it does,
Mhm.
it deters
Yeah.
crime. So if you have a minimum of 50 patrol vehicles stationed in places that are so overcrowded or even not overcrowded,
Yeah.
it deters. In fact, a patrol vehicle should be in IG, all the Go Street parking lots just on and off. A patrol vehicle should be actually just parked on the side of the road. It should be in every community. It should be parked up at some of the all schools.
Right.
Not all day. I'm not saying all day. That's why you have schedules.
Right.
And you have people going from here to here.
I
Now
understand
you
what you're
confused.
saying.
The criminal is so confused. The chances of getting caught is even higher.
Yeah.
So basically, it's being proactive right now
Right.
because we already have a problem where you can't get the crime solved now. So since you're struggling to solve all of these murders, all of these robberies, how about we be proactive and avoid it from happening?
Mm.
So we always say it's everybody's
Business.
business, which is true, but the population is paying taxes. The resorts, everybody's paying into the taxes. What are we doing with our money?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So if you have $500 million budget, I'm not getting political. I'm just trying to get this clear. We got $500 million budget. Isn't it somewhere we could start taking real
Investing more
investment
to deal.
where it matters most? Our borders are bust wide open. Don't we need to invest heavily in that area? With the like I said, with the regular patrols on the water, I understand about the recent investment about to happen in the radar. That's not enough.
Yeah.
If we are serious about tackling on the border breaches, crime,
Mhm.
let's put those monies there.
Mhm.
Let's put those monies there. This country is just growing, and
Astronomical rates.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what is not growing with the country? The people and the safety of us.
Yeah.
And
And it's so scary.
to piggyback off of that, myself being in the tourism industry,
Mhm.
just being a VIP / taxi drivers,
Right.
interacting with the tourists that come in weekly,
Uh-huh.
it's said that they would have the question, do you guys have police officers? I never see a police car
really?
on the road.
They
Yeah,
ask that
no, trust
question?
me. You can ask anyone in that industry.
Yeah.
Definitely they got that question from their guests. Do you guys have any police
Mhm.
officers? I barely see them. I don't see no vehicles.
Mhm.
And that's sad. Like,
Yeah.
they should want to feel like I'm coming to this country, no matter if I've never heard about it, seen it, and I know that police presence is
Right.
here.
Because you feel. Now, I agree with you about the presence of police. I do believe we need more visibility throughout the community, throughout the Turks and Caicos. I do agree, and the police has its role to play.
Mhm.
But how do we? That's part of the solution. But there are a lot of people out there whose minds are messed up.
Mhm.
The police are not responsible for their minds.
That's true.
They messed up. I think anyone that killed someone, in my opinion, they're not normal. So their minds is messed up. How do we deal with that aspect of the crime? Dealing with the mindset of people. I mean, I read a story in the United States of America where this guy just woke up one day and he felt like killing somebody, right? And so he called for an Uber. That's what you say, Uber?
Yeah, Uber, yeah.
And when he got into the vehicle, he killed the driver.
Wow.
Wow.
It was in his mind. And so I agree absolutely with the visibility, but we have a problem. We have a social problem, and we have people's minds are messed straight up. And is the police responsible for that? I mean, how do we deal with that aspect?
That's a great question. I would say this, right? And again, it's not to sound political. We as leaders, we as community followers that a lot of people follow, we have to ensure that we are in touch with this young population, this young crowd. I have seen a number of events where they tried to either bring in people from overseas to speak with the young kids about crime, violence, and why they shouldn't be participating in some of that.
Mhm.
That is all good. But the biggest issue, you're targeting the wrong audience. Your kids, for example, they go to sit and talk to your kids, my kids. Our kids, we are doing, what we can
Oh, so you're saying we need to go
to the target audience.
Mm.
You are almost wasting your time sitting down with your kids, my kids, other, kids that are well disciplined and behave, and telling them, oh, you need to do your schoolwork, or you need to keep away from this.
So you're saying they're preaching to the choir?
Yes, you're doing it to the wrong ones. We have to identify those ones who have the followers that is actually causing,
influencing,
polluting those ones. That's who we need to reach. And believe it or not, those ones who have the followers, some of them are actually easier to have a conversation with versus the one who's just willing recklessly doing it.
Yeah.
You see, because they're trying to prove a point to him.
To the leader.
But the leader actually has a better state of mind than him because he already convinced him that, you need to be doing this or you need to be doing that. But if you identify your target audience and you give them and show them how they can also have real opportunities, don't just tell them this is what to do, because a lot of people are just stuck and don't believe they're capable of accomplishing their goals.
Yeah.
But that's why that trade school is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I could remember when, I think it was 2003 when it was the issue with people complaining about the young guys hanging under the tree in 5 keys or in this area. What happened? A bunch of those guys ended up getting scholarship at that time. Went off to Rhode Island, Miami. A lot of them went to trade schools, other schools. That's when you had an issue between the young guys in Qton and 5 keys. But it was never gunfights. That's where they was just using bottles or whatever and rocks back then. And by the time those guys got done, whoever did 2-year or 4-year program, guys, today, some of them that's still around, are the bestest of best friends. They don't even know why those situations happen and outgrowing those situations. So that's what I'm saying. We have to, it's not rewarding. It's actually trying to fix your problem. So some might say, oh, why are we sending this one off to a trade school? He just stabbed this one, or he just came out of jail for a gun, or he did this. Going back to, speaking about, my father's situation and, the thoughts that was in my mind, I had to remember he worked hard. I can't afford to let all that just go in vain, right? And where I'm at today, I'm not going to risk getting caught up where I'm before a judge or, have to go to jail.
Right.
I have kids, and some of these guys do have kids. And some might say, oh, they have kids, they have something to lose. But the truth is, some of them can't even feed their kids. Some of them probably even doing it because they are trying to feed their kids. Now, is that right what they're doing? No, it's not right what they're doing. But my point is, if we take this, and as everybody would say, oh yeah, all governments continue to speak of the trade school, which is true. But it has to be a point in a time where we have to step up, hold those accountable, most especially you speaking it. This is what we want for our country. In the meantime, while we're trying to figure out that school, I think a certain amount should be set aside in scholarships, because not everybody is book savvy, right? We got people that are good with hands. In fact, today, if I had to replay and do it all over again, I probably would have picked up a trade, because there's more money being made in trades today than sitting behind a desk doing a 9 to 5.
And it's needed more.
I said the same
It's
thing.
needed more.
I mean,
I wish I knew,
It's a high demand.
about plumbing and electrical.
Of course. You could make probably what somebody makes in a year being an electrician or a construction worker, maybe in a month or two.
I agree with you.
So and this is why you still have to import all of the labor. Right? It's TCIG, I think, released about, or made a statement, I think it was last year, about 6 years of approved projects. right?
Mhm.
Huge development
Mhm.
projects like the Strand, and the list goes on,
Mhm.
right? So if we have all of these projects that's going on, and we have to continue to import these labor, renew work permit. By the time the 10-year mark hit with the work permits, because we have already
Mhm.
approved these development agreement, which now these
Yeah.
developers has to see that agreement through. So you're gonna have to continue renewing work permit, and then you're gonna have to bring in
No, you
people
don't have to renew the work permit.
No, you don't have
If
to.
you bring him for 3 years, you let
Well,
him
that
go
part you
and you
find
bring in
somebody
someone
else.
else.
But
Yeah.
that part is true.
Yeah.
But the only problem why they get closer to the government
Mhm.
and explain, all right, this is why I don't want to bring in somebody. This person is already familiar with how the land is laid. This person has already proven their point. And again, somehow they still continue to do it. But you said it right. We actually shouldn't enforce that 3-year
Yeah.
program no matter what.
Yeah.
We don't care if they are already familiar. That time is up.
Yeah.
Bring in somebody else if that case. But what I'm saying is we should try to avoid doing that, because we have a big number of young men that basically are involved with these criminal acts. The ones that are not involved with these criminal acts are trying their hardest, whether their job is stocking shelves or the lowest level paying job right now.
Mhm.
We need to go there and pick up these young men and give them real opportunities.
And I
Find
think-
out what
yeah.
they're good with.
I think also in a condition, I also think we need a good mentorship program. I know there are people out there who have programs in mentorship. I think we need some real mentorship program where you take somebody under your shoulder
Mhm.
and groom them and mentor them, or even have them come and work with you.
Yes.
Make them feel that, not just make them feel, let them know that they are just as important.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people's minds are so messed up because they feel insignificant. They feel, they commit a crime and they're not going to get any more chances. But we could mentor someone. And that's why when I started my accounting business, my goal was never to hire a work permit holder.
Mhm.
I always wanted to hire local people because I wanted that to make sure we train our local people.
Yes.
Of course, now with the population growing so much, I end up having to bring someone to work with me because most of the accountants, local accountants, are already hired. And so my point is, I think, even with a trade school, even with all these curriculum, we need to make sure that people's minds are intact.
Okay.
And we could do that through mentorship.
I agree.
And
with you saying that, and like Bobby said, it's the audience you target. Because I sure the public would say, oh, we have this mentorship, this bigger brother mentorship, this bigger sister mentorship. But it's who you're mentoring. And not saying that everyone shouldn't be mentored,
True.
but to detour the crime, the different negative activities happening, you have to reach out to the negative public,
Mm-hmm.
the other people that you know for sure
Yeah.
needs a mentor. I'm very positive if you reach out to at least 10 different males, females,
Uh-huh.
at least one of them you can get on your wing.
Yeah,
One of them that
I
needs
absolutely agree. I think and those are basic things as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
and they are small things that can make a significant difference.
Huge.
And I think that's what we need to
It
work on.
And it starts within the school. I can
Yeah.
remember I got a phone call, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
last year, to go.
Clement Hollow?
It was, hey, you was there, right?
Yeah, I was
You
there.
was there.
Yeah.
But I was actually basically almost a sub
Mhm.
because I didn't get the initial invite.
Oh, okay.
So Sean Bassett had called me, said
Mhm.
somebody else was supposed to go with him,
Mhm.
and if I can come with him, I was like,
Mhm.
sure, why not? I've been telling the schools I'll come and talk.
Yeah.
Why not? In fact, that's why I graduated
Mhm.
from Clement Howell. So anyway, as you can recall, and that's when I realized Clement Howell basically has changed, definitely from when I was there.
Mhm.
I mean, you can remember how loud and the guys were in the class, but what I learned about even dealing with them, sometimes you have to try to connect with them and be
Yeah.
open and honest. Don't just show them the end product or
Yeah.
tell them about your end product or where you at in life. Let's go straight back and tell them
It
what
wasn't-
you went through.
Yeah, it wasn't always
And
that
how
way.
you got there.
Yeah.
Because I overheard some of the mentors that was there, not knocking them, but I
Yeah.
just think they would have touched more
Mhm.
if they had talked about
The beginning.
the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what me and Sean did.
Mhm.
At first, the class didn't even want to calm down.
Yeah.
They was being
Yeah.
disrespectful, not even to us, to the teachers that was trying to sell them. And Sean said, let's play a game,
Yeah.
right? Just to get on their level. Who's stronger than the next? You see, because they're already
Yeah.
saying they big this and that. So just to settle down the classroom, which we did,
Yeah.
and then we jumped into our conversation and we kept it raw.
Right.
Like I said, if I cannot keep it raw in the
Yeah.
sense to say, oh, this is what I did, or
Yeah.
this is what I used to do, or this is what I went through with my parents. This is what my parents had to do to me. I need to let them know how I got here, because I didn't just get here on a bed of roses. Despite my father putting us in a position to have what's best. As kids, we sometimes tend to do stuff that our parents don't even know we're doing.
True.
Right?
You're right.
So as much as you're grooming, preparing, we're still going in an environment that's polluting our head.
Yeah.
And don't talk about the world today with social media.
Yeah.
It's worse. And I want to get, I want to go and say this publicly. Social media can be good, but it can also be a
It could
bad
be very
negative
dangerous
thing.
too.
Yeah.
Because right now, social media, I really believe, is also a part of the situation with a lot of young guys committing crime, because they want that lifestyle quicker than they're supposed to actually earn it.
Yep.
They see all of the nice things, the flashy things, but what they don't even know, most of that stuff is fake to begin with.
They only see the good. Yeah.
And the ones that's real, you don't even see the story behind it.
Yeah. And that's why, like you say, we have to tell the full story.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up this interview, in honor of your father, I mean, of course, his birthday, it's been 10 years. What else do you want to say? I mean, in honor of your father. I mean, it's a sad situation. His death. It's been 10 years. We don't know what's going to happen. Like you say, you haven't had a call from the police in over 8 years. What else do you want to say? And not only what else do you want to say, what can you share with the public as well?
Yeah. For me,
or what advice you give to the public?
Yeah, for me, I don't want to let his legacy, his name, just to go down just like that. It's a situation where it's still unsolved. As we started this conversation, the person might still be around here committing crime.
Yep.
The person might even be around here now, turned law-abiding citizen. Who knows? But again, I still believe there is someone or people out there that actually knows what happened.
I believe so.
Has information. And I would say to that individual right now, if they actually get a hold of this, speak up. And the reason why you should speak up at this time, whether it's somebody close to you that might have done it and you don't want to see a person go down like that, but that same individual that still might be out there committing that same act could actually in turn cause that same thing to come at your doorstep.
Yeah.
By us working together as community, as one people, regardless if it's your family member and people. I know you want to go all out for your family, but your family with that kind of state of mind, they don't, as you say, criminals don't want to be caught.
Yeah.
So if your family or somebody knows you have that kind of information, they could very well turn on you.
Yeah, and even if you don't want them to know, you could call Crime Stoppers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could be anonymous. But if you have the information, you should report it.
But let's not get numb to the crime that's happening in Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
Again, we just had a double murder last week. Whether it was a Turks Islander, a different nationality, it still happened on our shores.
It's Turks and Caicos.
It's Turks and Caicos.
All it is Turks and Caicos.
It's Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
And it still could have been someone else, because stray bullets do exist where bullets just fly and it could catch somebody innocently.
Yeah.
Let's work together, help the police, give them the information they need. As you said, contact Crime Stoppers. And again, my father was a community man.
Yeah.
I want to plead to the public. Yes, it's been 10 years. You still want justice.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, to the public, you still want justice, because as I said earlier, just about everybody's being touched.
Yeah.
So how about we work together as a unit, as a team, and let's fight to get each and every one of us justice.
Yeah.
Last week, somebody would have just released videos of persons murdered, in memory of this and that name. It was posted on Facebook, I believe. And I'm going through the list, and my father's name and a whole lot of other names was left out.
Oh.
But you know what?
I didn't see that video.
But you know what? That proved what I just said, where it's so much crime that we tend to forget how many people before were already murdered.
Yeah.
So
Unsolved murder.
yeah. So I'm not knocking for not having him on it, but it just shows the amount of unsolved murders in this case, that is so many names to mention, that we are forgetting that there's still many more cases. So I'm wondering, is the police even forgetting that this is a case we need to pick up? these
Good point.
these are questions we need answers to.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting to hear from the police.
Yeah.
I would hope after this is aired that myself or someone in the family would be contacted
Yeah.
as to having a status update. And what I want to see the government do, the governor do, the deputy governor do, the premier do, if we don't have it already. We need a different department within the police department to pick up on all of these unsolved cases
Absolutely.
and have it addressed.
Absolutely. Roshawn, you have anything?
I totally agree with everything he said. We just need to come together, try to get these unsolved crimes, these crimes that are happening, the crimes that happened last week. We need to just find ways to deter them from happening.
Yeah.
Find the best solution, even if it's not done in the same day, but we have to get a head start on it. We can't just be sitting down saying, well, this is the plan, we're going to go that way. Like, let's just start. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I said that was the final question, but I was thinking about something. I know it appears your father was targeted, right?
Yeah.
But how do you feel, going in that complex, or even just walking around Provo, you don't feel like under some sort of threat that maybe they'll come after you too? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, well, before my brother answer, because I know he'll have a totally different answer. Well, not different, but the same answer, but more explanation. For me, I would say 24/7, my eyes are open. No matter if it's day or night, no matter where I'm going to work, the grocery store, no matter where I am, like my eyes are open. I'm looking at my surroundings because, like we said before, we are unaware. We don't know any information about why it happened, what's the reason for it happening. So, yeah, I'm very. I would say I have my back against the wall where I just want to make sure I'm in the best position.
So yeah, that actually, I'm glad you brought that one up. When you had called about the interview, that actually came to mind. It should let the public know what I go through, even though when they see me normal, I was no different from somebody that never experienced something that being a victim of such a crime as that. I was just normal, like everybody. Open the door, normal. Go here, go there, normal. But ever since that night, the damage what did to me that cannot be erased. My mind is already programmed not just to be, vigilant, cautious of my surroundings. That right now I'm parked outside. That maybe somebody's actually out there waiting on me. So I just want a fighting opportunity, to respond if that case may be. Every morning I get up, I promise you, to go to the gym. I'm telling you, my wife, my mom, everybody can tell you that has good, close conversation. I'm actually just expecting somebody just to be there. And it shouldn't be that way. Some people might say, oh, that's crazy, you're paranoid. No, I'm not paranoid.
No.
Because what's happening in this country, and you don't know who has a plan for your life, while you have a different plan for your life, while God has a different plan for your life, somebody actually might have plans to cut your life short the same day that you got up to go and do something. That is the sad part. That's the reality that I'm living in today. That anywhere I'm going, you see me anywhere, I promise you, Trax, at the grocery store, at a meeting, at an event, I'm so vigilant that anything can happen right now. So my mind is already programmed, almost in a already preparedness state. And it shouldn't, because I should be comfortable. But this is how Turks and Caicos is. And me going through that situation just made it worse.
And especially since it's unresolved.
Yes, that too. And again, because it's unresolved and you don't have a clue who that individual could be. In fact, that could be somebody I talk to just about every day.
You're right. You're right.
I could be laughing with that person every day right now.
You're right. Absolutely right.
And don't even know it. That's the scary part about it. So, as I said, that's what it did to me. I don't know about others that deal with it, but I would tell everybody, always don't think that this cannot happen to you. when you step foot out your door, the goal should be always to try to return home to your family. And to do that, stay focused, watch your surroundings, and don't think you cannot be a target. Again, my father, personally, I don't believe he knew his life was threatened.
Yeah.
So just like how you right now, Mr. Seymour, don't think your life is threatened,
Yeah.
somebody actually may have some kind of jealousy
Yeah.
or envy towards you. It could have been a situation you might have made something in your article,
Yeah.
your weekly newspaper releases,
Yeah.
and somebody took offense to that. Now you are actually a walking target.
You're right.
And don't even know.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, we can end on a better note. That is so true. Even when I was doing this show, I say, boy, I hope this is the right thing I'm doing. Now they may want to target me because I'm trying to bring up the story again. But I say, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway, you know.
Remember when I called you, right?
Yeah.
And first thing came out of your mouth, I say, oh, they just had another double homicide, right? And you was like, oh, so you don't want to do the show again? Yeah, you don't want to do the show no more. I said, no, that's not what I'm calling you for.
No.
I called you to tell you.
That's right.
My brother actually
agreed
that he would go on the show. And I said that I'm not living in that kind of fear.
Right.
So with me even checking outside my surroundings, it's nothing to be, I'm not paranoid.
But you're conscious of
that's all it is.
Yeah, of your environment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so that's all it is. So for us to do this show, it's not the fear for me. Somebody need to actually, and more of these need to happen.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually think you should do a series with these shows with other family members.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Very good
I
idea.
believe everybody needs to have the opportunity to speak their story. And maybe, just maybe, some people that are committing these acts might decide to sympathize and see what they are doing to families. Because they think, all right, that individual who I want is gone. Life moves on. No, life does not move on for the family.
Nope. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I despite the situation, I really enjoyed this conversation. And I hope it's a wake-up call. I hope that the police watches this show and come in contact with the family. I hope the person out there or the people that are there murdered will be so convicted that they will turn themselves in, and those who have information will turn themselves in. If they don't do it, the murderer doesn't do it. But this is something that is very unsad. It's very sad. Sorry, I say unsad. Very sad to have had it happen. And Mr. Bean didn't deserve to be murdered. No one deserves to be murdered. And I hope justice takes place. And I wish all of you the best. I cannot imagine what you are going through. I really cannot. I didn't want to go through what you're going through. But you guys are strong. Continue to carry the legacy of your father.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rise up. Rise up.